Why did that team that was invincible, why did it not kick on? Why did it not become a dynasty?
I think the stadium. We had to move into the stadium. We had to, I think money wasn't available. In 2 years, we nearly lost the Invincible team. On the other side, you're looking at United keeping the core, adding players, Chelsea getting stronger, we're losing players, key players. And that, I think for me, that was the thing. No money. The money went into the stadium. And we were losing players every single year after that. And it became very difficult for us.
But what was the change? You look at the difference now following the Invincible year, when you win the league, and how quickly it changes.
We didn't improve. Like I just said before, we did not improve. Those guys, you guys, were improving. Chelsea did also at the time because they were powerful at that time, the 2 years after we stayed Invincible. Some injuries. But when you lose Patrick Vieira and you lose the likes of the player that we lost at that particular time, that changed a lot into our mentality, the way we were less confident, and it wasn't the same team anymore.
I think, look, over the last 10 years, Arsenal haven't won the league. And there are some factors in that I would say give Arsene Wenger some sort of reason why they wouldn't have won the league in the last 10 years. I take Thierry's point on board. I think this is a genuine reason. If you think about the net spend of Arsenal in the last 10 years, it would be 98 million, and the staggering spend of those 4 clubs above them, and the fact that they were building that stadium, that is a factor. It's a major factor. And I think I've got some level of
sympathy.
Yeah, sympathy for them. I've got sympathy for Arsenal. And I think Arsene Wenger's done an incredible job with that net spend. Where I've got less sympathy is the type of players that have been signed in that period. And if we just look at this, the signings here, and for me, if you look at those 2 teams we've just discussed, and Thierry's used the word balance, and we've talked about the likes of Vieira, Petit, Gilberto, Edu, Keown, Campbell, Toure, Adams, Bold, all strong people. All of a sudden, the most significant signings between 2004 and 2009, I can't think of a word to describe that bunch. I could, but it might not be usable on television. But they're certainly not what I would call the type of characters that you would want to win you a league. The powerful characters, the strength that you need running through your team, whether it be a Blackburn team, a City team with Yaya Toure and Vincent Kompany. And the profile of players completely changed and the style has changed. And that, to me, is where I've got no sympathy, to be honest with you. I don't know where it's come from.
The key for me is the one at the bottom, Cesc Fabregas. It changed the mentality of Arsene Wenger. We used to play a flat 4-4-2, as you noticed and you guys played against us. And because of Cesc, the player that he was, he started to think that he had to build the team around Cesc Fabregas. So he went into a 4-3-3, and he still does play the same way. And believe it or not, I believe that Cesc Fabregas was the reason why he did that.
Well, he come from Barcelona himself. Now, we talk about teams now copying Barcelona. Do you think he was copying the first Barcelona of Rijkaard, of Iniesta, Xavi in that midfield, where he thinks this is the way going forward now?
No, I just think that really Cesc was the man at the time, obviously with the likes of Hleb on his side and Adebayor stretching the team, but he really did believe that Cesc was going to be the guy for a very long time at Arsenal and building that team around him.
Well, why would one player change your whole sort of philosophy at a club? I think of Mourinho. He's got a template how to win the league. He's been away for 7 or 8 years. He comes back. He wins the league. Not exactly the same, but similar. If you're successful, those 2 central midfield players, Petit, Vieira, powerful in there, why do you think I'm going to Cesc Fabregas and say I'm going to totally change? If you've got a template of how to win the league, why would you change that?
The way Cesc was, I guess, efficient and controlling the game behind Adebayor, I think he reinforced the way he saw it. Because the year I left, maybe they were waiting for that. They nearly won the league. Arsenal nearly won the league, and Cesc was brilliant behind Adebayor. And they had a good run also in the Champions League, if I remember well. But I stay on that. It was because of Cesc. And I know you might think, really? I mean, you went from Petit, Vieira, Gilberto, to that.
I take your point on Cesc Fabregas, and half believe it. But Cesc Fabregas went to Chelsea Football Club last season. Jose Mourinho puts Matic alongside him. He puts Ramirez maybe alongside him in certain games. And so you could say, OK, it influenced the decision of Arsene Wenger. But don't put Len Flamini alongside him. But taking that forward, you could make one mistake by playing, say, for instance, Flamini with Fabregas and not being powerful enough. But then you sign Arteta and you turn him into a midfield player. Rosicky signs a wide player, turns him into a midfield player. Ramsey plays midfield even though he's a wide midfield player. Cazorla now, this team here that we've got in front of us, so for 10 years it's not just Cesc Fabregas, it's a continual string of errors. It's a sustained period of time. This you could add more to it. I'm sure that players who've played in that central, who are small, who are diminutive, who are good football players, who are not even central midfield. Oxlade-Chamberlain. I mean, look, I've got great respect for Arsenal as a football club. I think they're a fantastic football club. I think Arsene Wenger's job is absolutely amazing. But I just cannot get my head around why you would not sign players of power to assist these talented players that you've got to enable them to win the league. It's the one big, if you like, black mark that I've got against Arsene Wenger in this last 10 years of why he hasn't identified the issue with these types of players in central midfield, because they cannot win the league with those types of players. It can't happen.
He did identify it as soon as he come. Vieira was one of his first signings. His first summer was Petit. I just don't see how he's gone away from that.